What's a, not illegal, but still feels wrong, thing you've done?
Story 1.
I didn't think much of it at the time. But, probably around 10 years ago, my friend texted me saying, "Hey, I'm on a date and this girl is totally down." But I told her we live together. So, I can't take her to my parents' house. I had an extra room full of junk. So, I cleared it out, set up a dresser, futon, and a TV. Made it look lived in. Took me like an hour. I told him I got a room set up. Went to watch a movie at the theater and got some lunch. Got back my house a couple hours later. And saw he left me like $60 on the dresser. Like a year ago, I thought about that and thought to myself, wait, did I have a pop-up brothel for a day? LOL, nah. You were more like one of those shady pay-by-the-hour motels. Brothel would have been if you had a girl in the bed for him to come bang already.
Story 2.
When I was younger, I'd meet up with couples I found on Craigslist. To have sex with the wife or girlfriend. Most of the time the guys were into it. Everyone enjoyed, and that was that. But there were a few times you could tell the guy talked their wife or girlfriend into. The second you started doing it, you could see the mistake on their face. They'd get mad. They'd leave the room, they'd start crying. Everyone was consenting, but didn't always feel good leaving with the guy crying. I'm confused. Who was crying, the wife, or husband, or both? Husband. Guys think it'll be hot. But then realize they aren't into it. Wasn't there a story on Reddit about this? Guy thought it would be hot. Had a guy come over. And right before the guy and his wife had sex, he suddenly realized that he always pictured himself as the other guy in his fantasy. I've only seen it mentioned, but never saw the actual post. Which is, cuck isn't a good insult. Cucks love getting cucked. When you're unwilling, you're not a cuck. You're being cheated on. Or at best, getting netterard. Which is 100 million times worse than being a cuck. Because being netterard means you're unwilling. But still letting it happen and crying about it. The modern version of the insult is based on the idea that being a cuck is not manly in the extreme. That either it's being tolerated because you're weak, closer to the original meaning of cuckold, or you're into it because you're so submissive or weak that you get off on being shamed. It's not a very good insult for people who are into it. But it sadly remains a very effective insult for people who are not into it.
Story 3.
I had sex with a woman and never contacted her again. We met randomly at a bar, and at the end of the night she was like, "So, am I coming home with you? Or are you coming home with me?" I went home with her, and we smushed booties. We didn't even exchange numbers until I was leaving the next day. She gave it to me, and said to call her if I ever wanted to hang out again. I honestly didn't, because we didn't really have anyone in common. From how everything went down, I thought it was a one-night stand situation. My first. She never contacted me, and I never contacted her. I didn't even think about it. Then we bumped into each other at the same bar again months later. I was outside talking to my friend. The girl playfully punched me in the stomach. And I jokingly said something like, "We can set up a fight next Tuesday if you want." She walked like 10 feet down the sidewalk, and turned around. Then she yelled at the top of her lungs, "So, you're just going to duck me and never call me again?" I was shocked, and didn't know how to respond. So I just shrugged. The people around me giggled, and she left.
Story 4.
Slept with another man's wife. They were in an open marriage. But, the more she talked about it, the more it seemed like she was in an open marriage. But he didn't want to be. I've noticed this to be the case in 90% of open relationship. It's always one of two things. It's either the woman is into and just sleeps with other dudes or one other dude, while the husband is clearly heartbroken, but just deals with it for whatever reason. The wife is either too stupid or cold-hearted to notice or care. The other is that the guy is sleeping around with one other or multiple women. But as soon as the wife finds someone, he gets jealous and upset about it, and unfortunately ends up being physically abusive. The only time I've seen it work out for at least a few years is if it's two couples who hook up. Like two sets of a husband and wife basically swap partners. But those always fall apart too. Without fail, all these relationships fail or never last forever. I mean, hell, people in normal relationships barely last. So, of course, relationships with more than two people are prone to fail, and will always have higher failure rates. Oddly enough, the one thing that seems to work or last is the harem setup, where it's one guy and multiple women, or one woman and multiple guys. The women always seem like helpless victims when it's multiple women, and the guys always seem weak and pathetic when it's multiple guys. But these probably only last, because if one of the harem leaves, the rest of the harem stays intact.
Story 5.
Getting out of my wheelchair to walk a short distance. So many people don't understand the existence of ambulatory wheelchair users. The way they stare, and sometimes comment, can really make you feel like you've just done something wrong. Years ago, I was at my then-girlfriend's house, and we went in the backyard to hang out with her brother and his friends. There was a girl in a wheelchair, and I thought it was really cool of them to bring her all the way back there, since it would have taken a lot of work. Anyway, we hung out. I drank my six-pack, and when it was time to leave, this girl just got up and walked away. I drunkenly thought it was a miracle. It was actually just an old wheelchair they'd bought at a year's sale and used as a lawn chair. Having a wheelchair at a party house was great in the 90s. Fly off the garage's roof into the pool, and if anybody gets hurt, then you're ready to wheel them to the street for the ambulance.
Story 6.
Overtaking police cars. I feel the same way about not passing them. They always drive slow on purpose in my area, and I think it's on purpose to see who they can give a ticket to. So, when I drive slow behind them to not be in front, it makes me feel guilty even though I've done nothing. Those baseholes. I had a cop once follow me for 6 miles. I was giving my boss a lift home. I knew he was waiting to pull me over. Sure enough, I get off the exit for my boss' house. Cop pulls me over. Because, get this, my license plate wasn't readable from a distance. I lived on a dirt road, and the weather was dry rain for the last week. My car was clearly filthy and over. I wasn't trying to cover my plates, they were just impossible to keep clean. The cop was upset my car wasn't clean. I explained where I lived and how impossible for me to keep it clear while the weather was bad. And it wasn't like it wasn't readable. Just not from a spot up the hill hidden behind a ducking bridge.
Story 7.
Buying something when I know cameras are watching. I'm not stealing anything, but I have to make sure I don't look like I'm stealing anything. But I also have to make sure I don't look like I'm trying not to look like I'm not stealing anything. Sometimes I bring a reusable bag, and only need a few things, so I don't bother with a cart, no baskets here, and just toss them in my bag while I shop. Because it's easier. It feels like anyone who sees me would just assume I'm stealing it.
If you enjoy our channel, we'd love to invite you to become a member. Joining is easy. Just click the join button on our channel homepage or beneath any of our videos. Your support means the world to us, and as a member, you'll gain access to exclusive perks and content. Thank you for being part of our community. We look forward to welcoming you as a member soon.